When we're growing, we talk a lot about being uncomfortable. That discomfort is a part of the growth process, and it sure as hell is. It's uncomfortable to wake up and try new things. There are emotions like fear and disappointment and uncertainty that pop up that we have to work through and push through and coach ourselves through. But there's also an emotion that shows up during the growth process that we don't talk a lot about, and that's grief. And grief is 100% most certainly a part of the growth process as well. For a really long time, I think I just ignored that as being a possibility. How could I be grieving? I'm like growing into something new I'm excited about. I know I'm becoming a better version of myself. So what is there to be sad about? And I didn't give myself the time or the space to process through the idea that along with becoming something new or trying something new or being somewhere new, that I was also shedding a piece of myself that was a loss, and it was sad. And as I've gotten to know myself better and I have become more comfortable with this process, I can recognize when I'm feeling the grief that's associated with the growth zone. And we all process grief differently, so I'm not really talking about what to do. I'm talking about the awareness and the recognition and the acceptance that it's also part of the growth process, that you're not weird or wrong or pathetic for feeling sad as you continue to grow as a person, as a mom, as a professional, as a wife, as a daughter, in any of the roles that you have in your life. And that also pertains to yourself. So as we're changing, we lose a little bit of our identity too. As we're trying something new, we lose what we maybe were comfortable with and who we were comfortable being. We lose sometimes in the growth process due to change. We lose maybe this dream or goal or vision of what we thought was going to happen. Often it's replaced with something better. We may not even know what it is yet, but it does not negate the fact that it hurts. It doesn't take away the fact that there's sadness in recognizing that something you thought may not actually be. So grief is an emotion that is experienced in many different situations, and we often talk about it as it pertains to losing someone or a pet, as like with death, right? But it is also just an emotion that we feel when we lose something, period. When my family moved almost 10 years ago from Ohio to Florida, Ohio was all we ever knew, and we were close to friends and family, and life was beautiful then. But we had lost ourselves without realizing it. We had lost the focus on our family. And so we made a choice to make a transition to a new state, to try something new, to recenter our focus on our family, to change our careers. And because it was all new and really uncomfortable, I didn't give myself the time or space to process the grief associated with it. And my body would literally just shut down. And I would just go through this grieving process where I was angry and I was sad, and then I would cry and I would just go to sleep. And like I said, now that I don't do it every time, but now that I've gotten more comfortable with the process, I can sense when I'm grieving something. When I know that there's been a big change, I can feel it in my body that it's time to cry. It's time to feel sad about the loss of the potential or the people. You know, there are people in our growth journey that come and go into our life, that are a part of our life and then they're not, or we wanted them to be and they're not, or the relationship isn't what we thought it was going to be. And it feels horrible in the moment. And it is a part of the growth process. But it's very important to process through that as an acceptance, because otherwise you're chained to it. You're chained to the sadness or to the negative association with it. There's a part of you that hangs on to feeling guilty when you don't grieve the loss that is associated with change. So I, for one, have struggled with accepting that because I believe in the power of mindset, and I believe in perspective, and I believe in accepting pain as part of the growth process and getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And that has helped me push through many instances that have been very difficult. But the grief piece is also extremely important, and it's not something to push through, but it's something to feel through and something to work through. So if you're going through a transition, maybe it's been thrust upon you, maybe it's not even something that you chose, but it's the end of a relationship or the end of a job, the loss of a job that you have to process through. Don't not allow yourself to feel the sadness that comes along with that change. There's a time and a place for the positive mindset to kick in and give you the encouragement that you need, and to be the voice in your head that says, hey, you got this, you can do this. It's going to feel weird, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but you can do this, push through this piece. But there's a moment when you feel it of grief that if we can become more in tune with, it allows us to process through, and it allows for the growth process to maybe even be expedited a bit because you're not carrying around the baggage of the sadness that you never allowed yourself to feel. So if no one's told you, that's the point of this entire episode, if no one's told you that during the growth process you're going to feel grief, I am. You're going to feel grief. Acknowledge it, feel it, allow it to be a part of the growth process that you don't have to just push through. Knowing it and accepting it and acknowledging it helps you not get stuck there. Grief is a part of the growth process. You are not alone in this journey of growing and bettering yourself or trying something new. And you're not alone in the emotion that comes along with that. I'm not a robot. I'm not some all-powerful Wonder Woman that doesn't feel sad. I do feel sad. And it's okay to feel that as you push yourself into uncomfortable positions and handle uncomfortable situations. So I hope this helps you. It certainly has helped me not hit a wall and crash in my grief, but recognize when it's popping up and what I'm feeling and being able to process through it. I wish that I had understood that earlier in my growth journey, or maybe someone had tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, it's going to hurt sometimes. You don't have to act like it doesn't. So I hope this helps you understand that. I hope it helps you feel loved and supported outside of yourself, even that you're seen, that it's normal.